I'm Josh Bernstein. Welcome to Minds of Mountain Film. My guest today is Paul Watson. Paul is a marine conservationist, and welcome to Minds of Mountain Film.
Thank you.
And welcome back to Telluride. You are basically a legend here. It's always welcome to see you. It's nice to see you here.
We've been coming here most every year since, I think, '94.
For people who perhaps aren't as familiar with you or Sea Shepherd Conservation Society, can you explain what is your mission?
I set the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society up in 1977 as an organization to intervene against illegal activities like poaching of whales or sharks or any marine creature, really. So what we do is focus on illegal operations, illegal fishing, whaling, that sort of thing.
And what was it that motivated you to get into this?
I was raised in a fishing village in eastern Canada, so I've been really much involved with the ocean all my life. And when I was 10 years old, I started by freeing beavers from trap lines and destroying the trap lines. So that's when I started really as an activist. When I was 18, I was the youngest founding member of or founder of Greenpeace, and then I left Greenpeace in '77 to set up this organization.
Why was that, though? I've heard the rumors of why you left Greenpeace, but how would you tell people?
Basically, I got tired of watching whales die and bearing witness and just taking their picture, and I really wanted to intervene, and so I didn't want to be a protester. I find protesting to be a very submissive sort of thing, like, please, please, please don't kill the whales.
Right.
And of course they do it anyway. So, we go in there and we just stop them. We shut them down.
Right.
So that's the difference.
But it seems that based on certainly people who've seen you in action, whether it's in the films or now in Animal Planet and Whale Wars, the intervention has some guidelines to it. There's almost some lines you will not cross.
Well, we won't injure anybody, and we have an unblemished record. We've never caused a single injury to anybody. We haven't sustained any serious injuries, and also we don't break any laws. There's a perception that what we do is illegal, but we've never been convicted of a felony in 32 years.
Why not injure someone, though?
What's that?
Why won't you injure somebody? I mean, there's very little sympathy for people who are against whaling.
Well, not exactly. If you're killing whales and you injure a protester, the way the media is set up, the media and for instance the governments would probably say, well, that person put themselves in that position and therefore they deserved it. But if any environmentalist, any conservationist were to injure a logger or a whaler or a fisherman, the media would crucify them. That's just the way it is. So that's the reality that we deal in. Yeah. And so we have to be very, very careful that we don't alienate ourselves from the media by doing something like that. It's bad enough. I mean, on the internet right now, I've already been accused of murdering people, killing people, sinking ships with people on them and not rescuing. This stuff, there's so many lies that go on there. But actually that serves a good cause because it makes our opponents scared to death of us. And that's our main weapon, is intimidation. So they can believe all the myths and lies they like. It actually works in our favor.
So the similarity of piracy, the black skull and crossbones, the painting your ships black, intimidation is an important part for you?
Well, it is. A few years ago, the Dalai Lama gave me a little statue called Hayagriva, and as he explained to it, it's the compassionate aspect of Buddha's wrath. And he said, you never really want to hurt anybody, but sometimes when they can't see enlightenment, you scare the hell out of them until they do.
Okay.
So in other words, we don't want to hurt anybody, but we will scare them.
So what are some of your scare tactics?
Well, really what we do is approach them with a big black boat flying the Jolly Roger, and we attack them with, we have water cannons that fire pie filling, we have rotten butter bombs, we actually launch what's called a non-toxic biodegradable organic form of chemical warfare with rotten butter and methyl cellulose. So really what we do is we design our tactics to be funny, non-injurious, and effective.
The perception, however, is that some of the people who are, let's say, less familiar might think that with the ramming of the ships or the throwing things from your ships onto whaling vessels that you are perhaps injuring the people on those ships.
No, we don't target people. They target us. They're trying to kill us. And
you've been fired at.
I've been shot, and we had them throwing golf balls and nuts and bolts and sonic weapons at us and high-powered water cannons. And yeah, they're trying to kill us, and their government will justify anything they do. So that puts us at a real disadvantage. But we have to go to great pains to ensure that we don't injure anybody.
Talking about this disadvantage, because it seems like there's a bit of a David and Goliath, and that the Sea Shepherd's ships are not as, in some cases, as fast as the whaling, the research vessels of the Japanese. They are willing to do things to you that you wouldn't do to them. Do you feel like that it's an even playing field, or is it not?
Well, it's not an even playing field at all. They got the money, they've got the power, they've got the speed, they've got the government support. We're just ordinary people out there trying to stop them.
And yet it seems like David's getting stronger. Your first expedition to stop them versus your third versus your I think your fifth now? Is that correct?
We are getting stronger every year, and I'm hoping to go back with 3 ships at the end of this year. We need a Navy to stop these guys. And so, but we are getting stronger because by word of mouth. We don't spend money on promotion. We don't send out direct mail. We don't put advertisements or advertise on the online or anything. It's all word of mouth. People come to us.
So if you had the ability to raise, let's say, millions of dollars, if price was no object, could the battlefield become level? Could you go toe to toe with these research vessels, these so-called research vessels, and stop them?
We get faster, more ice strength, and more effective vessels. Yes, we'd love to have that. I mean, I could, probably for $10 million, I could shut down all whaling 100% in the Antarctic.
Really?
Easy.
$10 million?
Easy.
So if someone who's watching this, because this, through Plum TV, there could be someone watching this who could say, I've got $10 million to save the whales.
In fact, I could do it for less than that.
Really? Because I know 80% of the money that you raise through Sea Shepherd goes towards the initiatives in the field in the Antarctic, Norway, right?
It goes towards operation of our ships and our crew. All I need are the vessels that are fast enough and strong enough to do the job. Right now we've cut their quotas in half with the budget and the resources we have. If we can keep on all those boats, if we can tail them, pursue them, and block and harass them, we can shut them down 100%. We've proven that, but we just lack. We're doing the best we can with the resources available to us.
But more money would help.
Yeah, and the problem is that so much money is raised to protect whales. I mean, Greenpeace alone raises $45–50 million a year. But we can't play that game. You know, they also spend like tens of millions of dollars in direct mail.
Right.
And we're not going to do that.
Right.
How can you be a conservation organization and send out 50 million pieces of junk mail? I just don't understand that.
I agree. Okay.
So we have to, it's all word of mouth, and it's growing slowly, and and I think that more and more people are becoming aware, especially because of the Whale Wars show.
Which has done incredibly well. Record-breaking for the highest-rated series in the history of Animal Planet, correct?
It has, and I think the second year will be even better. You know, I think Animal Planet had the courage to go ahead with this. We went to all the networks to try and sell this idea. You know, I went to them and I said, the biggest show on Discovery now is about a bunch of guys going into some rough water and catching crabs. I mean, we'll give you more remote areas, rougher water, men and women from all over the world saving whales, and we'll throw in icebergs and penguins, and it's got to be more interesting.
And a cause more so than just dinner food.
Yeah,
I suppose. But do you find that the representation of you, the representation of the people on your ships, as seen through Whale Wars, is accurate?
Yeah, I think it's fairly accurate. I mean, we don't interfere; they just film, and what they're filming is what we're doing. So it's accurate, really. So
the bigger picture, if we looked at, if you were able to raise the $10 million, and then you had your fleet, your Navy, to attack the research vessels from Japan, could the current condition of whales in the world, could that be? Could the whales survive? Would they repopulate? Would they return to the numbers that we would need them to be a key apex species?
Well, we hope so. There's so many factors that are affecting all marine life, not just the whales. Acidification, global warming, plastics in the ocean, overfishing, the plans to harvest plankton, which is going to be devastating. There's so many things, but what we're trying to do as Sea Shepherd is address all of those issues. But we intervene where and when we can. For instance, we're very strong in the Galapagos. We've been working there for 10 years in partnership with the federal police and the Galapagos Park Rangers. We have a patrol boat, a surveillance vessel. We have our own canine unit, and we're stopping poachers.
Well, how do you rank them? If you only have a limited number of resources, both human capital and financial, if you're looking at Japanese whaling versus Chinese shark finning versus the Galapagos, the long lines, is there one that's any more important than the other?
The Galapagos is really our line in the sand. If we can't save the Galapagos, I mean, what can we save? And so we've been there for 12 years now, and we're putting a lot of resources into that. That's really our priority project. Stopping whaling in Antarctica is the other major project, trying to stop the dolphin kill in Japan. We're also gearing up for a new campaign to try and stop illegal fishing in the Mediterranean. The Mediterranean is rapidly becoming a Dead Sea. And so we're actually been having meetings with the Ministry of Fisheries in France about trying to get some government support to go in there, because, you know, there's 22 nations bordering the Mediterranean. How do you get 22 nations to agree on anything? Yeah. So hopefully as a non-government organization we'll be able to intervene better than any one particular government.
Do you think the oceans and sea life can be saved at this point?
Well, we don't have any choice, really. I mean, if the oceans die, we die. It's as simple as that. So, I mean, we really don't have any choice. We have to go in and do the best we can with the resources available to us. Right. And in fact, I'm just shocked at how little resources are available to anybody who wants to protect the oceans, considering how crucial it is. I think the protection of the ocean is the single most important environmental issue today. And but for the most part, it's out of sight and it's out of mind, and people don't think about it. But if life in the ocean disappears and civilization collapses, there's absolutely no doubt about that at all.
It seems to me, because if you come to festivals like Mountain Film, there are many people like yourself who are saying that the outlook is not particularly rosy. The decline of fisheries, the decline of indicator species, whether it's on land or in the water, wouldn't point to a healthy environment, given that we have an overpopulated planet. The resources are not being managed as well as they could be, and yet you're still passionate about trying to turn the tide.
Well, I think as long as there's life, there's hope, of course. And,
Sure.
and they're all called doom and gloom Cassandras, but what people forget that in the Iliad, Cassandra was a doom and gloom, but she was right. And if people had just simply listened to her, then Troy would have been able to have survived. So the same thing here. We're just saying if people listen to the voices of doom and gloom, and then they can change it. Then they can do something about it.
So if we could give you a magic wand, and you could make the changes necessary, what would you do?
Well, I don't think that really is fair to say that to any one particular person, because the strength of any movement has to lie in diversity of approaches and ideas and imagination, and that's what a movement is all about, and we're just one small part of that. So really, the more people we can recruit into this movement with more ideas and everything, the stronger it'll be, and it is getting stronger. And individual efforts and small groups are making the difference, not the big institutions, not governments. It's the Jane Goodalls and the Diane Fosseys and the Bruti Galdicasses and
the Paul Watsons.
Well, and people are making the difference. It's individual passion. I get criticized on Whale Wars because my crew they say, oh, they're fumbling amateurs and everything. But I can't buy the kind of passion that these people bring to the ship. If I had a highly paid professional crew, I would never get this job done. I can only get this job done with those passionate amateurs.
And what is the question? I know you have an interesting question that you ask people before you hire them.
Well, I say, are you willing to die for a whale? Are you willing to risk your life for a whale? And if they say no, then I don't want them.
Right.
Because I see this as no different than people going off and fighting wars for real estate, or oil wells or whatever. People are willing to die for those things. They should be much more willing to risk their life to protect something like an endangered species or a habitat.
You're a vegan, correct? Although your ship does not serve any type of animal product?
No, we don't have any animal products. For 5 years we've been a vegan vessel. Prior to that it was a vegetarian vessel.
Okay. So do you eat fish when you're off the ship?
God, no. no.
Okay.
I was raised in a fishing village. I was raised on seafood. But to me, when I think of eating a fish, I think of eating the ocean. We're really simply eating the oceans.
Yeah. Do you eat chicken then, or beef?
No meat.
No meat at all?
No.
Wow, impressive. So then what,
Excuse me.
what do you enjoy food? I'm just curious, what would you go out
I
and
have some great vegan cooks on board the ship, and in fact people who are non-vegetarians come on board our ship and are converted when they see all of the possibilities that are there.
I just think I would imagine that after you get back from months in Antarctic, you want to have a nice meal, relax with some friends, and maybe...
Well, some crew do.
Yeah, okay.
suppose.
But you're committed to being vegan
I
throughout
think
the year?
that you really, to be an environmentalist, to be a conservationist, you have to be a vegetarian. I mean, the meat industry produces more greenhouse gases than the automobile industry. Didn't see that in Al Gore's film.
Right.
But it is a truism. And if we're really serious about addressing these issues, we'll have to change our lifestyle right across the board. 1 pound of beef, a steak, represents 3,000 gallons of water to produce that. So just the waste of resources to produce meat is incredible.
So if you could gaze into your crystal ball, Paul, and see the future of conservation of the ocean and Sea Shepherd, what do you see?
I think that we need to enforce international rules and regulations, all of those treaties. We have all the laws and the treaties and rules we need. We don't have to have any more meetings. We don't have to sit down and have any more committee studies. Everything is right there. We just need to enforce them. So if the Navy, as Jacques Cousteau said just before he died, if the navies of the world had any sense of moral responsibility, they would be out there protecting the oceans instead of playing their silly little war games with each other.
Well said by him and you. Oh, well, thanks for joining me on Minds of Mountain Film.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks.